Subsequently, these lodges spread throughout Europe, where they established several lodges and clubs in Russia, Germany, France, Italy, and the rest of Europe since the early 18th century. All were subordinate to the Jerusalem structure, but they instructed all temples and lodges to follow the foremost lodge, or what was known as the Roman lodge and temple. These lodges infiltrated the impregnable fortresses of all sophisticated and wealthy societies in Europe. They were comprised of individuals from all races and religions, most of whom were coerced into serving the Masonic objectives, turning them into servants of Masonic goals. Simultaneously, they shifted the Masonic Lodge's leadership center to England, where they focused on changing their names after the European elite became entangled with Freemasonry. These were changed to charitable, social, and global sports institutions to attract all spectrums and religions from around the world, unbeknownst to them about the hidden goals only known to the founders. They undertook measures to alter the external constitution of their institutions to obscure their main objectives, a task undertaken by John Desicoli and Joachim George. These members soon became active participants in the Masonic lodges spread throughout Europe and the world after gaining international exposure, ensuring the supremacy of the Jewish race over the world after having emptied Christianity of its roots by mixing and introducing many Jewish myths and beasts into it. The records of the Grand Masonic Lodge in 1897, page 54, stated that religious people should not be accepted into Masonic lodges because those who join must be free, and a true Mason should not be religious. Freemasonry must align with those who do not advocate for religion, such as socialists, Democrats, human rights advocates, and liberal societies, and it should engage in other fields of work like folk universities, political schools, and other institutions. Published by the Grand East in 1903, page 300, it also stated, brothers must infiltrate religious societies and others. Thus, Christianity became a bizarre distortion without clear teachings or a specific purpose after the Jewish Masons took control of the Vatican, its popes, ministers, clergy, Bible scribes, and printers. They went even further, with a Jewish native, Pope Pius XI, ascending to the highest papal position in the Vatican, becoming the supreme pontiff over all Catholics and the world. Indeed, Masons had come to control the appointment of every papal candidate in the Vatican. Pope Paul VI, who took very dangerous steps, announced the exoneration of the Jews from the blood of Christ. The danger of this step lies in its explicit and blatant acknowledgement that all previous priests, Christians, and popes were lying in their claims that the Jews killed or crucified Christ, and it also contradicts what was revealed in the Gospel. In 1723, James Anderson, 1679-1739, a Mason who started his life as an activist in the Church of Scotland, wrote the Masonic Constitution. Benjamin Franklin, after 11 years, reprinted the Constitution in 1734 following his election as the leader of the Masonic organization in the Pennsylvania branch. In reality, they reject God, His messengers, and the prophets, considering religion and morals as mere superstitions and fallacies, and they promote sexual libertinism and deviance. They use women as a means to access men and have fueled conflicts among sectarian minorities, creating racism and division among people, even among their own members. Let us, therefore, refer to the Masonic Constitution and elaborate on some of their symbols and rituals to prevent any accusations of my bias against these organizations. When initiating into Masonry, the new member is asked by the leaders to seek the light. Then, he takes the oath and becomes a first-degree Mason. But who is the bearer of the light? It is God. This explains why initiates are blindfolded during the first ritual to enter their organization, as the new Mason enters a world in search of light, which he believes he is in total darkness. At the second degree of the Masonic hierarchy, he is again required to seek the light, which is critical to the celebratory rites of the second Masonic degree necessary for advancement. Thus, a member in the first degree has sought the light, and in the second degree continues to seek it, with the bearer of light still being God. He spends his life searching for this light through each degree, believing he is a seeker of enlightenment. To any person, seeking light is considered a noble act, as it represents moving from darkness to enlightenment, insight, and knowledge, exactly as it is read in their constitution. Isn't this what is written? The surprise comes when he reaches the 19th degree of Masonry. After 18 degrees, the Mason is convinced that he is still seeking the light. At the 19th degree, they reveal the truth to him. Join me, as Albert Pike says in his book Morals and Dogma, on page 321, Lucifer, the light bearer. Strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Then, General Albert Pike, in another instance, when he sent a message to the heads of the Supreme Masonic Councils, stated, "We must tell the masses that we worship God, but the deity we worship is not separated from us by illusions and superstitions. We who have reached the higher degrees of enlightenment must preserve the purity of the satanic doctrine." Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, in her encyclopedia, The Secret Doctrine, and a member of Masonry known as the mother of the modern age of magic and astrology, says, Lucifer is the highest degree above Jehovah. She continues in the same book, stating, "Now it is proven that Satan, or the fiery red dragon, the Lord of Phosphorus, and Lucifer, or light-bearer, is our mind, our savior, intelligent and liberating us from pure animality." Volume 2, page 513. But who is Lucifer? In a statement by the Grand Master of the Lucench Masonic Lodge, he said, "We Masons belong to the family of the great devils. Lucifer is our triangle and our lodge is the temple. So, Lucifer is the devil." And in the same book, it is stated, "As for Lucifer, an alternative name for Satan, the former chief of the Supreme Sovereignty openly admits that Lucifer is a benevolent angel and a divine God worthy of worship." In the previous 18 degrees, Masons believe God is the bearer of light, but now, at this 19th degree, Pike declares to them that the bearer of light is Satan. This means that Masonry has deliberately misled those in the lower degrees until they are truly prepared to accept the truth that Masons worship Lucifer or Satan. In another place at the World Masonic Conference held in Belgrade in 1900, "We are not satisfied with just defeating the religious and their temples. Our main goal is their annihilation. Isn't this a war on religions? Wasn't one of their principles the freedom of religion?" In a significant portion of this series, we will show you how Masonic societies, in all their forms, were based on magic and Satan worship, and the summoning of spirits. Many groups among them went beyond reason and unreason and reached the extent of human sacrifices offered to Satan as offerings. From the beginning of the 19th degree, they begin to openly worship Lucifer or the devil. This is especially evident in the 31st, 32nd, and 33rd degrees. They also use the same symbols as Satan worshippers, such as the star, the equilateral triangle, and the third eye. The third eye, or the Eye of Osiris, is derived from Egyptian mythology and indicates that this eye is the eye of the grand architect of the Masons, the eye of the devil. This serves as evidence of the profound depths of Masonry in devil worship. The Masonic Protestant-Jewish confluence played a significant role in devil worship, incorporating Satan worship into Jewish and Christian heritage through the Knights Templar at the onset of the Protestant Reformation in the mid-12th century, which merged with global Masonry and mastered black magic. Magic and devil worship entered Europe and its clans, especially in France, England, and Austria, blending Christianity there with much Jewish sorcery, which itself was in constant accord with Masonry. It is not logical for Masonic principles to be built on moral virtues, religious freedom, non-sectarianism, and helping others on one side, and to be devil worshippers on the other. These principles are the trap or snare that catches all those who boast of this Masonry. Those who defend it are those who could not surpass the first or even the third rung of the Masonic degrees. These associations were cleverly and misleadingly formed so that the majority of Masons are under the guise of charitable societies, religious freedom, democracy, and freedom of speech, exploiting leftists and secularists who have mastered the art of pandering to their Masonic masters from the higher degrees, defending them tenaciously, sometimes under the banner of freedom and at other times of nationalism. Masonic symbols, truly, a wondrous world. Masonic symbols are abundant, and upon close examination or study, you'll find that these symbols either dedicate themselves to the realm of fantasy or to Judaism. Indeed, Masonry is imbued with the sanctification of the devil's work, attempting to forge a robust link between the world of the impossible and reality. Here are some key Masonic symbols. The star engraved on Masonic symbols, preserved for centuries, is undoubtedly the Star of David from Israel. The pathways. Masonic lodges are characterized by numerous pathways. Members always follow these pathways during their meetings and the reading of Masonic teachings. These teachings are only recited by principal Masons when standing on these pathways, which vary in the degrees of significance and are thought to mock Jesus Christ. The temple represents the temple of hidden power, the temple of wisdom, or the temple of humanity, sometimes referred to as the Grand Church. The aprons. It is claimed that Solomon and his soldiers wore aprons at Hiram's funeral, which are commemorated as such. In truth, these aprons are a prelude to aprons made of sheepskin, then pigskin, in defiance of Christ. George Washington famously wore one during the Declaration of American Independence, memorialized by a prominent statue in Washington, D.C. Knight Templar, refers to Jews who attempted to rebuild the temple after their return from exile. Their duties varied from lodge to lodge based on seniority within Masonic affiliation. The color blue. No Masonic lodge is without the sacred blue color, revered by Masons and symbolizing the future global spread of the State of Greater Israel, as seen in the Israeli flag. Boaz and Jachin, two pillars placed at the altar next to the Masonic Bible, with specific teachings inscribed on them. According to their legends, Boaz was a murderer, thief, and swindler, while Jachin was a priest no less notorious than the former. The valiance of David and Samson. Among the rituals practiced by Freemasons is the symbolic beheading of a bone or reinforced skin to commemorate their bravery. The hammer and gavel, symbolic demolition tools used by Masons in emulation of Solomon's temple construction. These tools are mandated for use in Freemasonry construction. The triangular serpent declares war on religious, civil, and military leaderships of non-Jews to maintain Jewish and Masonic power. Allegedly crafted by Aaron for worship by the Jews, referred to in the Torah as Nehushtan. In Asian Masonic lodges, a fourth head has been added as a sign of divine approval. The menorah, a remembrance of the menorah lost from the temple during the disaster of Titus. The ancient, pure gold menorah was placed inside the tabernacle in Solomon's temple for illumination, essential to the temple's sanctity. The chain mocks Peter, the disciple of Christ, implying that the real key is not in his possession but in that of the Masonic founders and their successors. Masons deny this, claiming in their books that it represents the chain of knowledge, purportedly buried underground by Solomon. Pioneers of engineering, symbols established by the founders to delude the unseeing that their secretive society has been around since the creation of the world, also serving to remind of the temple's renewal thwarted by Jashim, a Canaanite leader. The ladder memorializes the dream of Israel, seeing himself wrestling the creator of the world and forcing him to concede the land of Canaan to his servant Jacob, who was thereafter known as Israel. This is an Israeli heresy from their history, for which no origin could be found. This detailed exploration into Masonic symbols reveals a complex blend of historical reverence, mythical storytelling, and ritualistic profundity, showcasing the intricate and often controversial elements that define Masonic tradition. Having outlined the basic elements of this cult, let us delve deeper to illuminate its tangible impact on our lives and explore how it subtly steers us toward the unknown. Please subscribe to support our continued efforts.